doesn't matter. Dream of dust or dream of light. In a universe of almost infinite size. Where's my dreaming? Why does it always return to your eyes? Tell me what it's me. What am I to you? Just a space.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, which is all about using your apprenticeship levy to fast-track talent into your tech team. Thanks for joining us on a beautiful Thursday morning, and apologies if anyone can hear the drilling in the background, some maintenance going on upstairs. So I'm Patrick, I'm one of the partnerships managers here at Makers, and as I said, we're here to chat about using your levy to fast-track tech talent into your tech teams today. Bit of background for those of you that don't know Makers. We started about 7-8 years ago, and in that time we've trained 1,800 developers. We joined the government's register of approved training providers and launched our first apprenticeship in 2018. And in that time, we've trained 222 apprentices at 46 companies, 100% pass rate so far, and 50% of those are achieving the highest grades. So some pretty good stats to start off with. So yeah, today we're going to be chatting through kind of a new initiative that we've launched at Makers, which has kind of come out of a few reasons, but the main two sort of being, on the one hand, responsive to feedback from our partners, and on the other hand, kind of born out of current sort of economic climate and market conditions. There's a slight change to the running order if any of you saw that on Eventbrite, and today we're going to be kicking off with Diana Constantinu, who's our head of apprenticeships education, who's going to be walking through this new product initiative. And then we're going to be launching straight into a Q&A, which is going to be chaired by Vicky Bryce McIntosh, who's one of the client partners here at Makers. If you do want to ask any questions, feel free, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Feel free just to pop a question in there. If you really like a question, give it a thumbs up and we'll know to kind of ask those ones first and focus our attention on those ones. Ask away at any point during the talk and we'll get to them in the Q&A section at the end. I think that's everything from me. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Diana. Take it away.
Thanks, Patrick. I'll just share my screen. So good morning. As Patrick said already, my name's Diana. I'm part of the course development team, and we're really excited today to bring you one of our new products. As Patrick shared already, it's challenging times we find ourselves at the moment, but I think not just our current times, but if we look ahead to the next quarter as well, I think things will be different than what we've experienced in the past year. But here at Makers, we're really keen to turn this challenge into an opportunity for our hiring partners. And as Patrick shared, we've, prior to lockdown, been gathering feedback from our different hiring partners and finding out about how our current apprenticeship can suit hiring partners better. So with this opportunity, we want to help solve problems for you and essentially fast track talent into your organisation. We know that there's a high demand for good software developers, and we think with what we're launching today is a really good idea to help you be responsive to the demands of the market. So it's really important to say at this point, it's still our current apprenticeship that we're offering, but today we launch a different delivery plan. So I'm aware we have a range of hiring partners on the call today. We have some of our existing hiring partners that already are working with us with our current apprenticeship in the normal delivery model. But we also have some hiring partners that we haven't worked with in the past before. So just to start off with some context, our current apprenticeship is a level 4 software development apprenticeship. It's fundamentally made of a 12-week boot camp with Makers, and then typically a 9 to 12 month placement period with, like all apprenticeships, a gateway period at the end. The 12-week boot camp inducts, trains apprentices in a set of standards, and essentially we give a toolkit that enables our apprentices to be ready to join a software development team. On placement on the original product, you'll be familiar with marketing materials, or perhaps experience that our apprentices need to pass a knowledge module exam, a vendor qualification exam, as well as exempting functional skills or indeed getting it. And then at the end of the placement period, the gateway assessment is the portfolio submission, an exam, a synoptic project, and an interview, as well as the employer saying that they're ready. And this original product is normally run minimum 12 months, and the maximum time that can be taken is 24 months. And again, just for those of you not too familiar with the original delivery plan, this diagram just showcases the timeline of the product. So again, this boot camp just here at the start, and then during placement, we've spread out key things that the apprentices need to achieve whilst on placement. So you can see there the exams, as well as putting a portfolio together. So the launch today is our current apprenticeship, but it's delivered differently. And it's listening to our hiring partners that have experienced our original product, that would like some flexibility with the product, would like the possibility to perhaps plant down milestones in a different way, and have value from the apprentice from day one. So let's have a little look at this product and its different delivery option. We currently have makers that have done the 12-week bootcamp as private customers. These are individuals that have made a substantial decision to change their life and train as software developers, some of them with some experience, some of them coming from very different careers. And they have gone through the 12-week bootcamp or are due to finish very shortly. So we give you access to that talent pool. You're free to carry out your own selection and recruitment in line with how you onboard individuals. But there's also an opportunity to select from the talent pool using an equality and diversity program. Perhaps you're interested in raising gender in your particular tech team, or perhaps you have a project, a strategy project. Again, this may be a product that's really suitable given this, but ultimately the important point to note here is you choose the right maker from your organisation. And that timeline is very different from the original product because it can be as quick as 2 weeks. It is really down to your own selection and recruitment process. Unlike the original product, we have a rolling start day. So rather than waiting for quarter start dates, this program will be starting every 3 weeks. So again, a really quick turnaround, a rapid response to you needing software developers. The apprentices will carry out a 6-week bootcamp whereby we cover all of the milestones that are traditionally done on placement. So our apprentices will sit their knowledge module exam, their vendor qualification, and again, in response to some of the feedback that we've got from our hiring partners, they've asked for help with some custom training and custom onboarding. And through this delivery plan, that's going to be possible. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. What that essentially means is after those 6 weeks, you have your apprentice being able to work in their software development team without any distractions from the apprenticeship. All they need to do is put a portfolio together. And those of you that are familiar with the apprenticeship, it's based on real life work. So essentially doing their job and putting that together into a portfolio is a smaller task than the original product. At the end, because there's been less involvement with makers, we will call them back for a mock synoptic project, which is 5 days, 1 week. And then the following month, we'd expect them to do their real project as part of Gateway, as well as their interview. I think it's important to say here that these are two very different products, although they are covering the same apprenticeship standard. The original product is something that we've been very successful for. There is very little ability to have bespoke or tailoring with that product due to our large cohort numbers and due to the number of hiring partners are just happy with the way it currently runs. This twin product, if you like, or delivery plan is the opposite. What we're really looking to do here is to work with hiring partners and be flexible and tailor the apprenticeship in response to hiring partners' need. So I said before, you have access to Makers Talent. That's in response to some of our hiring partners wanting to get started quicker, wanting to have access to a larger pool of talented software developers. And so hopefully in that feature, we've responded to that. As I said, there's value in the workplace from day one. We acknowledge that some hiring partners have found it quite tricky to factor in time to allow apprentices to study for exams and go out for exams. So what we're hoping is by having an immersive feature at the beginning, it just takes care of that and it frees up the apprentice and the employer to just submerge themselves in the context of their work, as well as continuing to provide support. But I think a real feature of the rapid response apprenticeship is the tailoring, as I mentioned before, the custom training and the custom support. We'll work with individual hiring partners to really understand why they've gone for the rapid response and what the niche needs are. So for example, it could be that you know your developer is going to be joining a team where predominantly they use Python. So it'd be really beneficial in those 6 weeks to do some more training that's completely centered around the tech stack that they're going to be using when they join. Equally, you may choose to highlight 3 developers that are going into a back-end team. Maybe they're working on stuff like APIs, I don't know, maybe a DevOps function. Again, what we're able to do within that 6-week bootcamp is to tailor some part of that training, just really to get them ready to join that software team. We appreciate that onboarding has been made slightly more challenging with us moving to remote. So we've got some really great case studies of working with hiring partners to make that process quicker. Just an example of that is we've set up pair programming sessions with the line manager and the apprentice. And we've got some really great suggestions of how we can custom that support for individual hiring partners. The tailored apprenticeship is the real feature of this product. And I spoke about some ideas in terms of the individual training, but there'll be loads of questions that perhaps spring out in terms of your individual needs. And I strongly encourage you to speak to the partnerships team because we really are looking to work in a different way with this product. I've just put some ideas that have come out of course development, just from conversations of hiring partners, but there'll be really real opportunities here to get these developers ready in the skills that hiring partners need. We can custom design the tasks that they do in the last couple of weeks of their bootcamp, or it could be that you want them to work on a real life project in a couple of weeks, maybe a project that's happened in the past that you want as some sort of assessment so you're ready to support them when they join the team. So we're really, really open to having conversations with course development and hiring partners to custom a segment of that 6-week training. And as I said, the onboarding, again, there's some ideas of activities. We've heard from some of our consultancies, some support, perhaps a workshop or a couple of workshops on how to bid for work would be really, really helpful. So again, any needs that you're having as hiring partners that you'd really like to tailor an existing good product, this is the product for you. I've probably gone on for more than long than my session, but we're really excited to bring you this feature. It's something that's really at the heart of our hiring partners, and hopefully there's enough features in here that respond to the feedback. It's been really nice working with hiring partners to be able to support them in this time where things are changing, and hopefully, as I said at the start, challenging times that turn into real opportunities, not just for us here at Makers, but for you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Diana, for that super informative overview. I'm Vicky, and I'm a client partner at Makers. So I work closely with our hiring partners, and I support them throughout the delivery of our programs, and essentially just make sure that everything runs smoothly day to day. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please do share them. Don't be shy. If there's anything you're wondering, or yeah, any kind of questions, please do send them through. Okay, so we have one question through. When's the next hiring event and when we can get started? So, I mean, I can briefly touch on this in terms of how this model works. It's super flexible. So the idea is it will be working on kind of a weekly basis, and hiring partners can give us, you know, kind of 1 to 2 weeks notice, depending on what you guys need to get started. So it's very different from our kind of current product in that it is kind of super flexible, and we can kind of adapt to the needs of our hiring partners. Okay, so another question. I'm not over familiar with Makers. Can I ask what the levy cost is for the new product? Is it the same as before? So no, the levy cost is reduced versus our existing product, and that is because the makers have already gone through kind of a portion of their training. So yeah, it's a reduced cost in terms of our existing product. For anyone who would like kind of a breakdown of the cost, the partnerships team, we can catch up with you afterwards and talk you through that, but it is reduced versus our existing product. Who can join the apprenticeship scheme? So in terms of this specific product, this is for our makers who have already graduated our bootcamp. So it's specifically makers who have gone through the 12-week academy bootcamp and are kind of ready and raring to go. And then we do an additional 6 weeks training with them to kind of upskill them in an area that is kind of beneficial to your business. So do the apprentices get to choose whether they go on the fast track and then get interviewed, or does the hiring partner decide which style apprenticeship they complete? So of our makers who've completed the bootcamp, a number of them will say this is something they want to do, this is something they're really keen to do, which will kind of provide employers with a pool to kind of choose from. In terms of which style apprenticeship, the employer would come to us and say, we'd rather do the fast track apprentice, or we'd rather do kind of the traditional one, and we'd then work with whichever talent pool kind of fits that. So in terms of our traditional apprenticeship, we have a number of kind of talent pools for that, which I won't go into now, but we can follow up on. But yeah, you would kind of come to us and say which apprenticeship you want to do, and we'd kind of provide the right talent pool for that. Once the 6-week bootcamp training has completed, does the apprentice still need to spend 20% of their time training? So one of, I guess, the brilliant things about this product is that within those 6 weeks, we're going to kind of spend time with the makers completing those exams that usually happen over the placement period. So what that means is most of kind of the requirements, I guess, of the apprenticeship will be done before they join placement. They will still have to spend some time completing off-the-job training because they'll have to pull together their portfolio. But it does mean that this will be less, I guess, than the traditional 20% that they'd be expected to spend if they still had all of their exams to complete.
Vicky, I don't know whether it's worth me coming in there. So I think this is one of the major features of the product, because hiring partners that use both of our apprenticeships will really notice the difference with this particular product, because the activity that they're working on that contributes to their 20% off the job is their portfolio. Those of you that do have experience with the apprenticeship will know that the portfolio is based on real life projects, so tickets that they're working on, or perhaps more epic projects that they're a part of. So this will be a lot less intentional than the original product, whereby they have to stop and actually study for an exam, and it's not related to the work that they're currently alive and doing. So we feel that this will be a lot more transitional, and that employers will be noticing a lot less of a demand for apprenticeship work, which again, not to keep repeating myself, is a real response from hiring partners, just really wanting them to be submerged in the context of their work. So hopefully that's helpful.
Cool. Okay, well, it looks like we don't have any more questions, unless there's some final questions on anyone's mind.
Vicky, maybe should we just put a word out on cohorts as well?
Yes. What do you mean? Sorry, Patrick.
In terms of, well, I'll ask my own question and answer it myself. I think one's just come through as well. But oh, in fact, yeah, there we go. Someone's asked it. The cohorts work in the same way as your other courses. So fundamentally, no. On the normal apprenticeship, it's once per quarter that we run the apprenticeship. Whereas with the fast track apprenticeship, we're going to be able to start those every 2 weeks, because we can have them kind of coincide with the kind of modules that they're covering. And the other positive thing is we don't need to wait for like a minimum number. So it could be, you know, as little as sort of 2 people could join kind of together at the same time, and they'll likely be working in tandem with other people who are kind of at different stages of that 6 weeks.
And again, Patrick, if you don't mind me coming in, it kind of builds on our success of kind of teamwork and pair programming. So these are apprentices that have experience of this because they've done their 12-week, they've excelled at this, they've had their, those of you that are familiar, their final demo days where they've worked on a holistic project. This 6-week boot camp is a personal endeavour. So it's really to get them as skilled for your work context as possible. So a lot of the activity that they'll be doing will be individual challenges and possibly pair challenges. There is the option to do group and paired work if hiring partners are sending more than one, of course. But they will have a coach that will be checking in on them constantly to make sure that they are setting themselves goals and challenging themselves to get as experienced in the domains that you've laid out for us as possible. So a very different style, which enables us to not wait for cohorts to deliver this, but just to wait for hiring partners with a strong need and a selected candidate.
So we have another question through. Do makers have a specific demographic that they look to support and deliver apprenticeship opportunities to? I can briefly touch on this, and then Patrick, maybe if you want to go into a bit more detail about some of our partnerships. So we don't have a specific demographic that we look to support, but we are very much kind of focused on diversity and inclusion. It's something that's super kind of close to our heart and always has been, and it's something that we kind of work hard and strive hard to kind of make sure is kind of apparent in everything we do. So we have a lot of kind of partnerships which allow us to kind of focus on, I guess, people who may not have the same opportunities to get into coding and tech. And just on that, in terms of the apprenticeship, it's kind of a brilliant opportunity for that. Because apprentices are employees from day one, it means, you know, they're employed from day one, and it means it does kind of give that opportunity for people who may, you know, not otherwise be able to kind of transition career and become a software developer. But Patrick, if I hand over to you to go into a bit more detail about some of our partnerships.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, and it's a great question. I think the kind of main demographic, I suppose, would be career changers, in the sense that, you know, that's kind of the market that we're in for. We find that people who have kind of previously worked adapt better to the kind of self-led learning environment that we have at Makers. They kind of know their own working rhythms, etc. So you don't have to teach those skills already. So it's naturally been quite a good fit for career changers. That's both across apprenticeships and academy. Kind of historically, that kind of provides a diversity of thought. Obviously, you're bringing people in who aren't just kind of the typical computer science or maybe STEM background into your tech team. So that's quite an interesting way. But yeah, specifically on partnerships, and I guess it's something that we've been aware of at Makers is we never want to set like quotas or kind of work towards kind of number targets or anything like that. We'd rather just have like a much more organic approach to getting a diverse group of people onto the course, and that's by, as Vicky said, building partnerships with lots of different groups. So currently, I mean, we work with groups like Code Bar, Code First Girls, Lesbians Who Code, Code of Color. We've also recently been working with Generation, which is the non-profit arm of McKinsey, and they're helping 25 people get through who are all from underrepresented backgrounds, break into tech. So they were eligible to join our normal apprenticeship, not the rapid response apprenticeship, because the rapid response apprenticeship is fixed for people who have finished the course through us. So that hopefully gives a bit more flavour of the kind of initiatives and partnerships that we have.
So what's the pass rate and retention rate of apprentices in businesses after the apprenticeship? I don't actually have this information. I don't know if you know a bit more about this, Diana, potentially.
Yeah, Vicky, I'm happy to talk about that. So we're really proud of our pass rate. We have 100% pass rate, which is phenomenal for level 4 national rates of achievement. Currently, our, if you like, NEAT, which is the target that the government set that continue on with work, it's 100%, but 89% for change of employer. And that's normally down to promotion, if I'm honest with you. So we saw a pattern around that. But yeah, a really good retention rate with our employers that currently do the apprenticeship, and the pass rate is something that we feel incredibly proud about.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Diana and Patrick. If we don't have any more questions, I guess that will be us wrapping up. But yeah, thank you to everyone who joined us today. Hopefully it was, you know, really informative. Oh, okay, we've got another question. How do we get in touch? So the best way to get in touch is to email. I mean, will we be following up, or do we want people to email us, Patrick?
Yeah, if you have a direct contact already at Makers, then feel free to get in touch. And if not, we'll be sending an email around after this that'll have a link where you can book a call with one of the team here.
Cool. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, hopefully it was super informative. As Patrick said, if you know someone directly at Makers, you can get in touch. Otherwise, we'll follow up with everyone after this session. And have a wonderful day. And yeah, we'll be speaking to you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.